today's video, we'll be looking at woke spiritual TikToks that help raise those vibrations.
Young souls, the children as we call them, coming into our planet through birth now, are the fighters. They are the last reserve. They're coming in at the end days. They're ready to fight. They're psychic. They're strong. And they don't care about dying because they understand they can never die. We misuse those energies by not giving them direction. Understand these, well, there's so much to presuppose, and I'm sure most of you are the same vibe. I can only say that what we call children aren't. These souls now are strong. Some are very bad, some are very good, but none are weak. You must not be weak if you call them forth. And if you call them, protect them, because there is some unison, some harmony, some karma, a dharma that connects you with these souls. That's why they're born to you now. And the fact that you took precedence in life first before their entrance means, again, that they are still supposed to come under your direction for a short time. You can teach in the womb, as I talked to a beautiful sister tonight. But if they take in the venom, the pus, the things that are given in these hospitals and by the doctors in serum inoculation, it lowers the vibration of the blood. If the blood vibration is lowered, the glands and organs function is lowered. The vibration of the entire body is lowered, the immune system is lowered, and you become an animal, a human. You lose your godship, you must then strive to re-get it, and must spend time that could have been spent better. Now we're trying to recuperate.
Yo, Dr. Delbert Blair is a genius, man. The way he talks, it's like you just automatically think he knows exactly what he's talking about. Man.
Elder explains Akashic records.
The Akashic, and it's sent to the sun, mother server, which then sends it to the other sun. Everything you're seeing on a microscopic level exists on a macroscopic level. So the suns are servers. That's what a sun does. It serves the planets around it. But it also is a server, like an electrical server. So everything on the planets around that sun uploads their information to the sun. This is where they even get the idea of store it in the clouds or store it in the heavens from. Because nature does that naturally. The planet talks to the sun talks to the planet. So if the planet needs some assistance from the sun, it asks for it, and it will actually send that energy.
And you call that Akashic?
The Akashic record is
Akashic record.
Recorded around a planet or around an entity. It's the energetic record keeping system. They came up with a quote-unquote man-made version of that, and they call it the cloud. They're sending it up to the cloud. And they released that in a movie a long time ago. I think it was called Eon Flux or something. Had Charlize Theron in there, where they're telling you they're storing everything in this big dirigible balloon floating at 80,000 feet up in the sky. And it kept all the data. And it ran this future world where everything was based on them knowing everything and recording everything. And the reason they kept it at like 100,000 feet in the sky, so people couldn't get to it. But she figured out as a warrior, and then they figured out how to get to the. So the same idea, but it's based on nature. Nature sends everything to the planet. The planet has an aura. She has an auric field, which we can see when the aurora borealis comes through. You can see that there's an aura around the planet. So everyone who chooses to come here and born here, you can download information from the Akashic record. You also have a record inside of you. Your DNA is a record of all the bloodlines history. That you were born into a bloodline. And in that blood is a line of information. Million years or however many years back.
Yeah.
So they call it blood.
How long does your DNA go back to?
It could go back for billions of years.
Billions of years.
So imagine that. That's why I always tell people to have a visual. When I walk with 1 million people behind me, at least. So I'm the tip of the spear. My spear is 1 million deep. So you walk without fear. So I'm never alone. I never go into any battle, any situation, anything by myself. Because literally in science, you cannot be by yourself. If you have 1 million people, at least inside of your DNA, then how can you be by yourself? How can you be lonely?
I'm listening, and the interview has already started, my brother.
Oh,
We're gonna do it just like this. where you're at. The lighting is perfect. Your energy is perfect. All right, brother. Have a good one.
Hey,
Yeah, he out here dropping
touch.
gems.
You already know that. We're already in touch.
Definitely talking about the Akashic records. It's just crazy to think that all the information, all the data ever recorded.
This is why understanding you don't exist and nothing is real makes you God. Time is not real. Let's break down the mental and physical aspects of it. Time, past, present, and future, they are all properties of consciousness. With the past being recollection, the future being anticipation, and now being the present moment. Time is the movement of your thoughts. There's no such thing as a universal clock. This scene in the movie Interstellar shows us how time dilation works. They landed on a planet where the gravitational pull was so strong that every hour they spent there was equivalent to 7 years on Earth. These are photons, this is light. The holographic matrix is inside a light. Your eyes absorb it, and the mind projects the world. If light could be a person, any clock you looked at would never move. Light does not experience time. I'm not trying to scare you, I'm trying to wake you up. Reality is an illusion. This shit is all a dream. Using the interpretation of quantum physics, all matter in the universe is made of atoms. These atoms are made of 99.9999999% empty space. So with that being a fact, you have to question why reality feels so solid. This is because of the basic law of electrostatics. It's this repulsive magnetic force that makes reality feel real and stops your body from collapsing in on itself. And the atoms are made of energy that behave as particles and waves, meaning that particle me is here now, but the wave version of me doesn't exist as a localized point in space and time. Particles and energy that make up my body exist everywhere in a state of infinite potential. The dust I was before humans and Earth existed, me right now and every other stage of my life, and the pure energy I'm going to turn back into. It exists across the universe as possibility until I open my eyes and turn it into this observable situation, this moment. Let's get on some Matrix shit. This is video game coding. This is information. This is a bunch of shit you don't understand. That's reality, a bunch of energy, information, and potential. Shit we can't understand. We can still play the game because even though this is the game, this is what we see, understand, and operate in. You are the entire universe, but at the same time, the entire universe creates your mind. And it's your mind that you view the universe through. And because you're viewing it through your mind and not as it actually is, you're dreaming. This is an illusion, right? This is the true reality. Emptiness. Your mind creates space and time. Reality is energy, information, possibility, potential. It's not a solid physical thing. Everything, all of us are connected. Everything is one big giant consciousness, an infinite mind. I'm this eyeball, you're that eyeball. We're all just little pieces of it. But the entirety of it is you. You just don't know that. None of the words I'm using to talk to you right now actually mean anything. These are random vibrations that you're assigning concepts and labels to understand me. What I'm trying to say is our existence is a trip, and your faith in God doesn't have to be rooted in mythology, and you don't have to have blind faith in some deity outside of you. Through understanding science and psychology, you can dismantle your entire perception of reality and see what's left there when you do that. You are pure consciousness. You are everything in the form of you. Once you do that, you can finally detach from life and detach from yourself. That's the recipe. Once you transcend, all of the power is yours. I'm going to show you how to use it.
Yo, that was a lot, y'all. Hopefully none of that flew over anybody's heads, but yo, definitely a lot of info to digest.
They told
right there.
you to maintain control over your perspective. They told you that the trees they fucking cut down are mountains. That's a perspective grabber right there. Because had they told you as a child, like, they had giant trees, but they got cut down. They could have just told you that, hey, it was giant trees at one time and they all got cut down. So now when you ride and you see them giant tree stumps, you be like, oh, them tree stumps. But your perspective is different about the whole fucking life you live. Like, you be like, hold on, it was trees that fucking big? And who the fuck cut them down if they was that big? And what did they use? Your mind runs off with so many questions. So to control your perspective, the mountains. And they come from rock formations in earth. That's a whole different perspective. And then the bushes, the little bushes on your planet, like them trees, them actually trees. So now you like them mountains that now don't exist. And you looking at the bushes of the planet, and you like, oh, them trees.
And them some big ones right there. So imagine what we got in our front yard.
That's big.
Is that a shrub?
That's huge. That's huge.
Literally. It's a huge tree. Hey, y'all remember this?
The majority of African Americans that lived here were brought over here.
No.
No.
That's
Hey, and I like what he's about to say right here because I'm in full agreement with what he's about to say. Just letting y'all know where I stand on this point.
not economically sound.
What do you mean by it's not economically sound?
So what I'm saying is, people were already here. Does it make sense to go all the way to this other continent to bring people on a boat when we know that half of your stock is gonna die? You wouldn't do that.
So how many people do you think were brought over from Africa on slave ships? Because that definitely happened.
I don't believe it.
What do you mean you don't believe it?
I don't believe that story. You think this whole land was empty? No, there were natives here.
Right.
But today we're taught that natives is some other people. No, natives are the melanated African being that has come here since the beginning of the Mali Empire. We're talking about 14th, 13th century. We had already come here from Africa.
Really?
And probably long before that as well. 13th, 14th century. That's not that long ago, in all honesty. And if we're talking about in terms of like how old this world is, like man, if they were traveling the world long before any of this stuff was written down, any knowledge that we have. So I believe people were here, they were everywhere.
Oh yeah, we had already come here. Maybe people were brought over as slaves, but I don't think that the black people in America came from Africa on slave ships. I believe the people that were here were slowly conquered. First they got the East Coast, and then they started spreading out west little by little, conquering. And when you conquer a tribe, what do? You enslave them. They're POWs, right?
Okay.
That's what you do.
But I'm still confused. There's a great history of slave ships being brought over from Africa.
History is his story.
Right.
What about my story? Is my story not valid?
But if you do 23andMe on
23andMe.
from out,
23andMe.
Well, that's
either way. If you take black people here in America and you do their DNA sample and it point back to Africa, what does that say? It says black people in America are Africans. Now the argument is, were we brought here or were we already here? Did we bring ourselves here or did the white man bring us here? You see, when you say the white man brought us here, what you're doing is you're removing our ability to transport ourselves. You're saying, oh, we didn't know anything about boats. That's what you're trying to tell me. You're trying to tell me that we didn't know that there was a landmass here. Go look at the primary source. You got here, we met black people. When you got the Caribbean, we met black people. You think the Caribbean is right next to America and they weren't in America?
That's interesting.
That doesn't make any sense.
Nothing to say.
I mean, when you go and you look at real European history, right, would believe that if they took a bath, it was bad.
Right.
They didn't even want to change their clothes. They thought that dirty was purity. When we talk about the Moors going into Spain and into Europe, the stories in the history, our history, says that when we met the so-called Caucasian, he was sleeping in the barn with the animals, and we told him, no, you can't sleep in the barn with animals. We taught them etiquette. We taught them running water. We brought that technology to Europe. Now, if we brought the technology to Europe that saved Europe from the Black Plague, you mean to tell me that if we saved the white race, that we weren't already in America already? When we brought the technology? When Rome was dependent on Africa for food? Remember when the Black Plague hit Rome? The cause was one of the officials was stealing the grain that was coming from Africa. So there was famine, hit Rome. If your source of sustenance is from Africa, how are you superior? You're not. You get your food from me. So if you get your food from me, who's more likely to travel this globe? Me, I'm the source of food. And that's the first thing you need to survive on this planet.
Yo, he went in on that interview. Y'all got to go watch the full entire interview.
Why do we get sick? The body was not designed to be sick. Bird doesn't get sick. Elephant doesn't get sick. He needs no vet. The lion doesn't need a vet. Neither is a giraffe or any of the natural animals. Why do we get sick? There has been a violation. A violation that is costing us our life today. Because of the violation, I become stressed until I die. Why do we get sick?
Yo, that's a good question to ask, man. Like, if no one else on this planet gets sick.
Now we need to talk about the end times, because we are currently experiencing what you would consider the end of the world. And they've been giving you so much hints about it in movies and television and even video games. And even if you're religious, they've been telling you inside the books what time that we're in. And yet people are still worried about this system, the school, their jobs, and just distractions and entertainment. Just a whole bunch of things that do not matter, especially if we're currently in the end times. Now I'm here to tell you what this end of the world prophecy represents. It's not the actual end of the world. The world will always continue on forever. We're going through a shift and we're entering a new age of time. What this means is that this current systematic enslavement way of life is coming to an end. For the past couple hundred years, we've been in a time of enslavement, lies, and deception. Slavery never ended, it just became mental. These slave masters never became good people, they just hid their evilness from you. This is all coming to light now, and this whole way of life is coming to an end. The system will burn down. The end is actually a rebirth into a new world, a world that's completely different.
For real though, like I've heard same
Holding this
thing.
to my soul family and my soul tribe. Are past lives really a part of your past? How does that make sense when time ain't real? Today we're gonna talk about past lives, past life regressions, and what they really is. Come on, check it out.
So that is my answer to that question.
To add on, Junie 215, to bring you to a state of omniscience, right? First and foremost, me personally, I know and experience that there is no past life, right? Everything that we are doing right now is considered a now life. Even if you have a vision or dream or astral travel and you perceive what you're experiencing as a past life, is actually a now life. So what you really have to understand is that you have karma in this life, right? The things that you do and build up negative energy around, build up karma in this life, right? So how is your now life affecting the karma of the other past life versions of you that are technically still existing right now? You don't necessarily, like the guy said, have to really know who you was in the past life. Know who you are right now. You dig what I'm saying? Stop putting so much focus on the past. You dig? We have so many projections of what's coming towards our past. In all actuality, fuck all that. Tap into who you are right now and relinquish yourself of the karmic cycles that you do now, because as you do that, it will release the karmic cycles of your ancestors, of the ones that came before you, of you in those previous incarnations, because you have the awareness that you had a past life now, but now you live. So what you gonna do?
Signs from the universe, your soul is talking to you. Okay, anybody got any of those going on? If
Christian people, not even a Christian, all the people that go to churches, interpret the Bible and the preachers them. That is not the right way. Because the greatest thing is that life. See, it's life. Life I deal with. If the preacher read the Bible and tell you that you have to die to go to heaven, then he's not reading the Bible. Because the Bible tells you you have to live in a heaven. You don't die and go to heaven, you have to live in heaven. You know, a lot of places on earth could be, but Africa is our heaven, because that's where we come from. You know, maybe if it's a Swiss, maybe if you're from Switzerland and the people know God, then maybe you could live in peace, unity, harmony, you know. But you know, people are stubborn on this earth because of material vanity.
Material vanity. Oh, so you kind of got to get away from this material stuff, man. Look, I hope some of these TikToks help raise your vibrations. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe, turn your notification bell on, and until next time, YouTube, peace.